guys, it's Carly from the Poetry of Nice, and I figured I was going to bring you guys a slightly different video today. I wanted to share with you all how I go about storing the inventory for my eBay and my Etsy store. So the thing about storage in my house that I have to be really aware of is we actually live in a really small home by American standards. So we're a family of 4. We are my husband, myself, and 2 young boys. Very small house, 2-bedroom house, all one level, and the garage is our main storage area, as you can see. The main thing about storing my inventory in our particular home is I do not like it to overflow into our lives too much. We have enough stuff with 2 young kids that I don't want that kind of creeping into our lives anyway. And we make a really conscious effort, since we have this kind of small house living thing going on, to try to live with less and try and be a little bit more minimalistic. Sort of, do you want it or do you need it? And we find that that really works for us and gives us, I guess, peace is what I would say. So the thing about that is it sort of directly contradicts what I do for a living. Buying stuff, a large amount of stuff, storing it, listing it, shipping it out, all those kind of shipping supplies that go with it. So I have to be really conscious about how I marry the 2 lifestyles, if you will. So today I'm going to share with you how I just about managed to do that and keep my sanity in a small home with a young family, and how I stay organized to continue doing this amazing sort of vintage business that I get to run for both eBay and Etsy. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Have a great day. Okay guys, so I'm just going to kind of start from the top. I have 2 shelving units that you can see here, and also some storage over here, and some big items that live further down on the floor. So let me start at the top and show you what I've got going on and how I sort like by like. Alright guys, so up here on the top shelf, this is what I have happening. So at the back here, as you can see, I have some fabrics, some cool vintage fabrics happening here. There's some more, they're kind of stacked up one on top of each other. And then I have all my sewing supplies. So these are sewing kits, needlepoint kits, some accessories that go with them as well. Luckily these are all sealed, so I don't have any trouble kind of differentiating them. But if they weren't sealed, I would probably go ahead and bag them up just to make it a little bit easier so I don't get them confused. I also have some patterns that I'm storing here. The one in the bag is where I have some lots together. I need to probably find a better way to do that so I can see them more efficiently. And then I have some linen. So I have some neckties here just kind of sat with the pattern up so I can see them pretty easily. I have some vintage aprons sat here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have just a linen tea towel. That's the only one I have right now, so I just put it with the other kitchen linens. And then in the back here, I have a couple of children's costumes. I have a few more of those to list, especially since Halloween is fast approaching, so that pile will be stocking up, I think, in the future. And then on top of this, the other shelving unit here, I have some blankets over here. So I have 2 vintage Mexican blankets, and then I have this wall hanging, this Disney wall hanging. Just kind of keeping them flat, keeping them all together. I have some pennants here, as you can see, they're all stacked on top of each other, and they are left completely alone with nothing on top of them. I don't want to introduce any bends or anything. They would be really difficult to get out of this kind of material, so I just kind of leave them be. And then I have my bed sheets, my vintage bedding, things that I sell for fabric. I have some curtain panels tucked in here, and what I do is once I've laundered them, photographed them, listed them, I go ahead and fold them up and stuff them all inside of the pillowcase that comes with the set. Kind of like people do in their normal closets, right? And that way everything is together and I don't risk leaving part of the bedding set behind when I sell the item. And then over here I have a few random bits. So these are some vests I picked up a while ago that have a bunch of vintage patches. They don't really have a like to go with, so I pop them down here. Got some scrubs, I don't sell a lot of those anymore. Just put them there. Some men's shorts, I don't really do shorts or pants or anything like that, so they're kind of hanging out. And then this vintage quilt is just kind of hanging out with the other bedding and blanket type items up there. Okay, my next shelf down is books, obviously. So I have my Bibles here just up front, and then behind I have this set here of vintage children's books. I'm actually selling as a lot, so I'm keeping them all together. Then behind there, you can probably see I have a whole stack of vintage children's books that I have listed already. This is everything I already have listed. This is not stock that is waiting to go into inventory. And then behind here, I have a few what I would kind of call adult books, I suppose, some magazines that I'm doing as a lot down there, and a few sort of vintage or antique books, and then a very random clean eating book that I picked up way back when I was contemplating doing Amazon and is still sitting on eBay, so that may come down soon. Over here is a bit more random. I got some kind of how-to folders. There's this sewing one here, there's a recipe one here, and then a random textbook I'm still selling that used to belong to me. And then again, these don't really go anywhere. So these are Barbie sealed paper dolls and some other Barbie sealed things. They're just kind of living there for now. A couple of these vintage Disney records. Again, they don't really have anywhere specific, so they're just hanging out. And then everything here is like kind of paper products, as it were. So I've got all my vintage wrapping paper stacked in a Ziploc bag to keep it clean. And then underneath, these are some lots of Christmas paper that I'm just wanting to separate and keep them together so I don't accidentally leave one out or mix any up. And then some Hallmark, as you can see there, they're like vintage table decorations. They're just kind of hanging out as holiday decorations. And then inside of this box here, I need to get a better box, obviously. I'll be heading to Dollar Tree soon. And these are just more paper products. So we've got like some Christmas seals, some Beatrix Potter things, a couple of stamps, and then some vintage bridal shower cards. So just random paper pieces that are already listed are kind of hanging out in this box. Next shelf down on the right side is mostly Etsy stuff. As you can see, there is a lot of like wooden stuff or kind of vintage decor style pieces. So, you know, I've got wooden coasters, wooden bookends, a lot of different kind of wooden plaques, like products like that. As we keep going, a few trivets and stuff, some more wall decor, a couple of steins at the back there. And then these things in here, these are some more like very vintage paper pieces that don't really go with like wrapping paper or cards or anything like that. There's a few like vintage maps and a few vintage camera pieces as well are kind of living in here. And then in the back here, we've got some sort of minor accessories. So we've got some leather gloves, a couple of wallets and a few scarves. Jewelry box, sewing box, coupon box, and a tile that I popped up there to keep it safe because I'm asking $40 for it and I want to keep it looking good. Next we're on to mugs and major breakables. So as you can see here, there's a few different serving bowls up front and then a few sort of trivets and ceramic bits up here as well, and then a whole bunch of mugs. And I'll be going through those soon and purging a few. But there's a few in there as well that I'm very keen to hold on to until they do sell because I think they're kind of cool. I will say as well, before I had stored all my mugs in like boxes and I had wrapped them all individually, which seemed good to keep them sort of safe and whatnot. But every time I sold one, I had to take the entire box apart and unwrap them all, which just made absolutely no sense. So this is definitely a more efficient way of storing smalls like coffee mugs and things like that. Alright, next shelf is definitely still kind of an Etsy shelf happening here. So we just have a few more random bits. We've got a whole bunch of clocks here. We've definitely got some Christmas stuff happening here as well. I'm very careful when I store candles because it is in the garage and it is not climate controlled and we are in East Tennessee to go ahead and put layers between them and anything else lest they melt onto anything. And then I've got some ornaments hanging out in here as well, just kind of major breakables and things like that that just kind of chill. So next we're on to more of the kind of accessories things. Now I have a whole bunch of children's clothes I'm selling here. I do not usually do children's clothes. I kind of happened upon them and I probably won't do many children's clothes again. But that's okay, once they're gone, that piece will be gone there. At the back there is a whole bunch of hats. And this is, I picked this up 50 cents at a yard sale, and this is just how I store all of my jewelry pieces. As you can see, pins, that one's empty. I don't do a lot of jewelry. We got some watches and things at the back here. And then purses and things are just kind of lined up at the back there in a little box. And then here are vintage eyeglasses and a few glasses cases that I sell as well. Again, you know, I may be buying some boxes that kind of plastic boxes that will last a little bit longer and kind of go color scheme and whatnot, but honestly, I don't really care right now. You know, I'll grab the boxes, the cardboard boxes, I'll recycle, I'm not bothered as long as it's organized and I can get to it quickly. And you know, I know what I'm looking for and where I'm gonna find it. I am just super happy with that. This is definitely an eBay kind of shelf. As you can see, we get a like sort of a video game, a DVD. I don't do a lot of those unless they kind of happen my way. Few different things of like playing cards and stuff like that. A few vintage board games and whatnot kind of live behind this lunchbox. And then we get into kind of a few of the electronic bits. You can see a few electronic games here. This is like a photo printer, and then just generally some accessories that I have gone ahead and listed on eBay on this shelf. So then obviously some heavier stuff gets stored on the bottom shelves here. So I have, again, very random things. You can see like a train case back here. We've got a camera here in its case, a whole stack of children's books that are sold as a lot. Again, a huge lot here of water filters. So when there's huge lots like that, I like to just keep them all together, obviously, but low and out of the way. And then back here you'll see a few different sort of large kitchen pieces and things in original boxes that need a little bit more space to be stored. And then as you can see here, I've got a briefcase, I've got a couple of suitcases. I'm a little low on those right now. I've sold quite a few, and a large lamp that frankly I can't wait to see go. We'll see if I sell them or I give them away. I'm sick to death of them. And then you can see back here, kind of peeking through, I got some vintage baseball gloves, some vintage roller skates, a large piece of Christmas decoration there, and then this firewood holder. You know, basically my biggest pieces kind of live low down here, and just trying to keep them separate so they don't get harmed, but also I'm not tripping over them all the time. And then last but not least, here is sort of all of my clothing and apparel and stuff. So low down here is actually, the very bottom one is plush. Even though it's the lightest, I have at the bottom because that's the thing I pretty much sell the least of. So I keep that low down. The next one up is adult clothing. I'll give you a peek inside of there in a second. The next one is jackets and coats, so any kind of outerwear. And the next one up is obviously shoes, and anything that's new and unharmed lives way up here on top, and anything that's kind of old and has already seen a little bit of life, it goes on the bottom. I definitely need to improve this storage situation, of course I do, but right now this basket of shoes is how I do it. And inside of this adult clothing box, all I have is right at the back here, I have stacked up men's clothing essentially. At the front here I have women's clothing, and in the middle I have sweaters. And I just fold them neatly, trying not to fold too much over designs, things like that if it matters on the garment, and just kind of making sure that I fold so that I have something that identifies the piece up front, so I'm not unfolding everything as I'm going through to find the product that I have sold. And then the very last thing that I'll mention is I always keep a big box like this. It's basically right here in relation to my suitcases, and I keep it close by, and basically anything that I purge from my inventory, something that I decide not to relist or decide to pull down for whatever reason, I just go ahead, turn around, throw it in this box, and like once a month, once every 2 months, I go ahead and take that down to the thrift store and I get it out of my life so that I'm not tripping over it and I'm not haunted by it all the time. Okay, you know, I also figured that I would just show you guys how I do my shipping supplies. So this is in the garage, this is with everything else. Hey, we have babies, can you tell? And I literally line them up by size order. I make sure that I sort of keep track of my inventory so that I can order more way before I need them. So these are all of my priority mail boxes, as you can see. And in here are things that I sort of buy myself. I have some eBay tape down here, and then these are like first class small boxes, and we have like padded mailers, poly mailers, those kinds of things. And then if I spin around, I have this desk here that has my sewing machine on, and what I'll show you guys is in here I stock up on things like business cards, glasses cases, just plain ones, unmarked when I find them, and also jewelry boxes, as you can see here, things like that. So when I sell pieces, I can go ahead and box them up nicely for the buyer. Then if I go ahead and creep up, this, fabulous, isn't it? This is what I use to do my shipping supplies. So it's just like one of these totes you get at the dollar store that you can use for like cleaning products or, you know, bathroom, that kind of thing. So on one side I have everything from like tape to, you can see here, like my thank you stickers, different kinds of tape, eBay tape, normal tape. I've got my twine, business cards, those kind of things. And then also all of my tissue paper for wrapping Etsy products, and I just go ahead and I grab that and I take it out with me with some bubble wrap in the right boxes, and I just sit in my living room and I wrap things, and then it's really easy to transport. I know I have everything I need all inside of here, and it just takes away one element of trying to gather things, right? So it works for me. So guys, I really hope that that was helpful or even vaguely interesting in some way, but that's just how I do things personally, to kind of, you know, marry having all this stuff in my life that I'm selling and listing all the time, but also trying to keep like a kind of a minimalist life in other areas as well, and just trying not to have too much stuff overwhelming me. I'm definitely a person who gets overwhelmed easily by too much stuff. So comment below, let me know what you think, let me know your advice, like what you do, give me some tips, I would love that. And you know, like, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you guys so much for stopping by to watching. See you soon. Bye.